Hello, I'm Joshua Smith, and welcome to Captain Cinema's Entertainment Explosion. I'm here again with,
Darby Chapman.
and here we are going to talk about the highly anticipated Disney remake, actually, of Disney's Haunted Mansion. Yes, we just saw the trailer. Sadly, we can't, because of copyright laws, we can't show you the trailer, but we're going to tell you our thoughts on it. So,
Yeah.
Darby,
Let's review.
this beautiful trailer that actually kind of stunned me.
Oh, it really did. No, when you sent it to me, I was like, it just dropped. Let's watch it. Let's see what's going on.
Yeah.
Not what I thought.
No.
Not even close.
I was not even expecting that.
No, I saw it and I was kind of like, whoa. I was like, this feels like I'm about to go to a movie and get scared. This feels like.
Now, I will say that one thing that you have over me is I've never been to Disneyland or World.
Yeah.
And you have been to the actual Haunted Mansion. So can you
have.
touch the similarities between the park ride versus what we just saw in the trailer?
Yeah, so the park ride, it seems very out of place at Disney. I know it sounds weird. It's in Magic Kingdom. It's in the biggest place. And it's kind of in a corner, and everything around it is it's haunted. They have a carriage outside with no horse, but it's standing up, and they have a graveyard that you walk through, and it's all so spooky, but in a fun way.
Yeah.
So when you get on, you go into this room, okay? And it's in the trailer. This is in the trailer. It's the room that stretches.
Oh, yeah.
And they have paintings on the walls. I think there's 4 paintings. And in each painting, it's supposed to be like a portrait, okay? So it's just like this.
Yeah.
But then as the room stretches, it shows how they died.
Jeez.
So one is this guy who's on 2 other guys' shoulders, and they're in quicksand, and they're sinking. And another is this woman, and she's balancing over a lake of alligators.
Oh.
And there's 4 of them. I can't remember all of them. But so as the room stretches, you get down to the bottom, and then when you get to the bottom, the scariest thing happens. Of the entire ride, this is the scariest
Really?
thing. They're talking, and they're telling you this story, and it's now you can never leave, in that creepy, voice, and they talk. And then at the end, you look up at the ceiling, and the lights flash out, and at the ceiling, it flashes on, and there's a body hanging from the ceiling. Genuinely.
Jesus.
It's terrible, and there's a scream. It's a scary ride.
That sounds like not Disney at all.
No, that's the thing. It's nothing like Disney, and I feel like this movie is really trying to emulate the feeling you get when you're on the Haunted Mansion ride. And as soon as I watched it, that's exactly what riding the Haunted Mansion feels like.
I will say, the one thing that Disney doesn't have that all studios, and if you think about it, really all movie studios has this, a horror section.
Yeah.
Disney has never tapped into horror, really. This is the first time I've actually seen a Disney, trailer.
With the Disney logo, because Disney owns a lot of things.
Yeah.
They own horror movies.
Yeah.
But they're not, Disney produced.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Not with, Disney
Brought to you
labeled.
by.
Yeah. So this feels very interesting.
Yeah, I agree. And the cast alone got me interested from the get-go.
No, yes. The cast, all-star.
All-star.
Stunning.
All right, let's talk about who you're most excited to see, because we've talked about this before, but I want you to tell the audience, who are you so excited to see?
Owen Wilson.
Owen Wilson.
I am thrilled to see Owen Wilson as a priest in the Haunted
I can only
Mansion.
Imagine. God.
I can't even begin to explain. Owen Wilson is he's a funny character. He's got a perfect comedic timing.
Amazing.
And he's very entertaining. But you don't see him in a lot of serious, scary, unless it's funny.
Right.
So I'm very interested in this. I'm very interested in the way he's going to play through this role, because honestly, the trailer is really tapping into horror. Mm-hmm. It's got some really scary elements. It's got Disney elements too, of the funny and the way that it looks, but it's kind of scary.
It is. Honestly, when I watched this trailer, I was surprised of how terrifying, and something they didn't put in the old movie with Eddie Murphy, The Bride.
The Bride.
And The Bride is definitely front and center in this trailer, and which makes me think she's the villain. So
The Bride is also a very scary part of the Haunted Mansion ride.
Good. As it should.
So you go through one of the rooms, and it's got all these paintings, and they're all of her with her husbands, and there's 7, I think. I think she's married 7 times. And as you drive by them, they flip into guys without heads, and she's holding an axe in the second picture. So I don't really know. It's one of those just tricks of the light, And then at the end, you see her, a little holograph of her, and she's singing, "Here Comes the Bride."
That is terrifying.
It is pretty creepy.
I'm not going to lie. If they put that in the movie, I might get chills.
It is pretty creepy. And she's in like the wedding dress and she's like, here comes the bride. And I'm like,
I was like, come on
don't
now.
like that.
There's such thing as a divorce lady. Come on now.
Literally.
I will say, and I'm just going to rack them off. I mean, come on. We got Jamie Lee Curtis. We have Rosita Dawson. We have Lakeith Stanfield.
Yeah.
Owen Wilson, Danny DeVito,
DeVito.
and then Jared Leto is going to be playing the Hatbox Ghost.
I am very excited for Jared Leto too.
I cannot.
Ryan Gosling is supposedly in this movie too. I don't know what he's doing.
He was going to be in the original before Eddie Murphy was in that. Guillermo del Toro's was going to do Haunted Mansion at one point, and he was going to be the lead, Ryan Gosling. And then that movie kind of like faded out because Disney, I guess, got a hold of it and like, no, actually, you can't do that. You can't make this movie.
No.
And then he made, what's that Ghost movie, which basically, it was his version of Haunted Mansion, but it was called, Crimson Peak.
I've never seen that
was
movie.
his love letter to Haunted Mansion. Not many people know that, but that was a way for him to still do, because it was centered around a bride-like figure who killed people. I mean, it's in the movie. So it's in the movie. So it was pretty like obvious what he was trying to do. He just couldn't call it Haunted Mansion. He couldn't call the bride, and he had a whole other backstory. Just flip it just enough to make it different. I actually kind of like that movie, but it is kind of hilarious knowing the history.
Yeah.
But one of my favorite things of the trailer, besides seeing the cast, Jamie Lee Curtis is playing Madame Leota.
That is going to be very exciting. I love Madame Leota.
Yes.
They did a remodel of Haunted Mansion not too long ago. I mean, it's been a while, 6 or 7 years ago, I'd say. I can't even remember exactly when. Which we go every single year, so at least once a year. And I've been to Disneyland too. Okay. So it's kind of I don't think I rode Mansion at Disneyland though. If they have it there, I don't really know. But at Disney World, they did a remodel. Okay, and Madame Leota used to not have as much in the Haunted Mansion, and now she's like this whole room.
Oh.
And it's really cool.
Really? She's like so.
It's like a crystal ball.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm interested because when we see Jamie Lee Curtis in the trailer, you see a physical Jamie Lee Curtis. She's not the crystal ball yet.
The crystal ball.
Which makes me think that they're going to find out how she becomes the crystal ball at one point.
Yeah. or it's the opposite, and it's her getting out of the crystal ball.
That's even better.
Could be the opposite.
Hey.
But yeah, now that they have that whole room dedicated to Madame Leota now, and it's a great room until you get stuck in there.
Of course.
Because like I got stuck in there once for like 30 minutes. And like what it is it's like ghosts, if you're here, like ring the bell, and there's a bell and it rings. Or it's like if you're here, blow the trumpet, and there's a trumpet, and it just goes on and on like that.
I will say that they were able to balance perfectly scares and comedy.
I do agree.
I love the part in the trailer when Owen talks to Lakeith and Lakeith says, "No, I'm not going.
Yeah.
I'll give you $2,000."
What's the address?
What's the address? It's like, yeah, that's pretty much anybody.
Or like at the beginning, whenever it's like the mom and the boy, and they're walking in, and she goes, "I want like a little vanilla candle," and he's like, "Is that really gonna help?
No.
Is that really gonna help this at all?"
I think it's funny that Tiffany Haddish is playing a medium in this.
I do too.
I love it.
I like it. I think that's a great casting.
It really is. This cast is top notch.
I do think this cast is top notch.
I didn't mention this before, but at D23 this past summer, they announced that Winona Ryder is in this movie as well.
She is?
She is. Now, that's true. They announced that on stage when they brought out Jamie Lee Curtis. They said, oh, and guess who else is in this movie? And then I was like, who could she be playing?
I have no idea.
I really don't know either. My fan casting, I would have made her the bride.
Yeah, no, she could be the bride.
She could still be the bride because you
didn't see her face. She keeps that veil over. Yeah.
So that would be interesting.
That would be very interesting. It's gonna be a good movie. I'm very interested in it because it seems so far away.
Yeah.
From the original Haunted Mansion.
It does. Like, for instance, okay, Eddie Murphy was the selling point of the old one, but I feel like the selling point to this is the actual, like, how creepy it looks, how it's paying homage to the attraction, and this huge cast. It's not just one person. It's like a whole ensemble.
Yeah.
I love that.
The real question to me is that does the Eddie Murphy movie still exist in this universe? Because canonically, that's what the Haunted Mansion was supposed to be about, was when they're there. Right. So it's creepy, Like the Haunted Mansion ride's creepy and it's scary, but also you still get to get off at the end.
That's true.
Like that's the whole point, is that it's not that bad. So like the Eddie Murphy movie, it feels like that. It's like, oh yeah, there's scary stuff, like there's ghosts and stuff, but like Eddie Murphy, like the whole family like becomes friends and they like, you know, they do what they gotta do. So canonically, is that still what happened in this movie?
It could be canon. I mean, from the looks of it, though, this trailer made it seem like it's a period piece, so it definitely doesn't take place in present day. It takes place in the past. I couldn't pinpoint like what time period. It either could have been 70s, 80s, or the early 90s. I couldn't tell, but I for a fact it's a period piece.
Yeah.
And I will say the mansion actually looks more like the mansion. Like I've never been, but I've seen pictures.
Yes.
It actually looks more like the mansion from the park.
It does. It looks very close and identical. The weirdest thing about the mansion is when you realize that it's actually just a huge warehouse.
Really?
Yeah. Have you ever seen that?
No.
So at Disney, it's this huge. You see the castle. It's beautiful, but it's kind of like at a distance, so it looks really big. And then actually behind it is just a giant gray warehouse.
That's amazing.
And so when you like look on Google Maps, the only thing you see behind it is this giant gray warehouse.
Disney.
And you actually, if you look, you'll see it. Like when you're actually paying attention in the parks.
Disney magic.
It's so interesting.
I love that. And I love this trailer too.
I do.
I will say that this is like one of my most anticipated films this summer because I love horror, I love Disney, I love this cast, and it's different for them.
I do. I love that it's different for them.
The fact that if this becomes a huge success, they're 3 for 3 from adapting their attractions to films.
Yeah.
You had Pirates, which was
obviously.
And then, of course, you had Jungle Cruise.
Which is a spectacular movie.
It was. Anybody who's not seen that movie, I feel bad for them.
No, me too. That was one of those movies that I was iffy about.
Yeah.
Because the Jungle Cruise, I hate to be like this. You've never been there. The Jungle Cruise, not a very fun ride.
No.
It's boring.
I would imagine.
I hate that ride, actually. We don't even ride that ride. Like, and up until last summer when that movie dropped, that ride may have had a 5 to 10 minute line every day. And you know what the wait time was when we went this past year?
What?
Over 100 minutes every day.
Jesus.
For this ride, all you do is you ride in a little circle and the captain talks to you. The captain's always funny, but like... Oh, yeah.
Well, The Rock was hilarious.
But nothing happens on the whole ride. Nothing.
I mean...
And it's just... I was kind of like, what are they even going to do in this movie?
Yeah.
Like, what's this going to be? But it was good.
I will say that you're right. Like, they took the concept of the Jungle Cruise and, like, expanded it. There's a lot of world building in Haunted Mansion.
There is.
Like, just with the ghosts alone. So I knew this was in good. I can't remember the director's name, but the director of this movie, he directed Dear White People.
Yes.
Which was also a phenomenal movie.
Yeah.
I just can't wait to see this. It comes out July 28th. It actually took the date from the Marvels, which now comes out in November. So we get it sooner than later because originally this was coming out in August.
I know.
So
I am really excited in July. I think this is going to be a really good movie. It's going to be really out of Disney's comfort zone.
Yes.
And I can't even imagine, but I love this because, you know, the new CEO, I'm sure that he's really... excited for this because he's made a whole point of being like, I'm trying to take a step in a new direction. Like I'm trying to change Disney for the better, obviously. You know, like get us out there. You know, really improve on what we've been doing. And I think so far he's doing that.
I agree.
And if this movie does as well as we are anticipating, then it will. It will be a confirmation that the work that they're putting in right now is working.
Honestly, this has potential to be to get a sequel. Because you can always have a new family or a new son.
Always, yeah.
Always. So, I mean, I'm anxious. I'm excited. I'm only a tiny bit nervous.
I am a tiny bit nervous because you have to be with something like this.
Yeah.
This is a new genre for Disney.
Yep.
They could, you know, it could end questionably, you know, because they haven't never done this before.
That's true.
So it's a new area for them. And while I do think it's going to be spectacular, I feel like there is a little bit of room for error.
That's true.
Like, I feel like there's some room for error. And the truth is that if it's not that bad, like, not the error, like, not too big, I think you could get by with it.
Yeah.
Like, I think just a little bit of, you know, oh, maybe it's a little bit too funny. That's fine. Like, I think you could get by with that. A little bit too scary, I think you could still get by with that. Do you know what I mean?
I mean, some of the best scary movies I've ever seen has been PG-13.
That's true. I would agree completely. Some of my favorite horror movies are PG-13.
I mean, that you don't have to push the boundaries to make a movie super scary. You just have to have that balance of horror and comedy. Because I'm going to be honest, people laugh in horror movies even without it being you.
You mean me?
Yeah. They do that all the time. And I will say that if this is a success, this opens the door wide open for that Scarlett Johansson Tower of Terror movie to be fast-tracked.
I would love a Tower of Terror movie, because it's based on the Twilight Zone, which was its own TV show. And I genuinely think they could make an amazing movie for the Tower of Terror.
And they can do the same kind of blend, horror comedy. They can push that perfectly.
The cast they have, I think, will be a perfect blend of comedy and horror.
Yeah.
Like, I think the cast they've chosen can perfectly encompass very comedic moments and also like
that's important.
Being terrified moments.
Yes.
And that'll be a really interesting thing to watch.
I've said for years that if Disney could crack like their version of a horror film, this opens the door for a live-action Sleepy Hollow, which is something I've been dying to see Disney do because that cartoon's scary. And if they ever did it, I've always said that Matt Smith, Doctor Who, should play Ichabod Crane.
No, that's 100% you're right.
There's nobody else.
You're right.
No one else other than him I would have cast in that role. So that's why I'm hoping this is a success because I want to see Disney tap into horror.
I think it will be a success. Honestly,
that trailer sold me.
The trailer was spectacular. The cast looks great. The setting looks great. The costumes look great. It all seems to fall into place, at least in the trailer. So I'm really hoping that it translates beautifully to the big screen.
Yep, I hope so too.
Because, I mean, I don't know. I'm excited. Jamie Lee Curtis is, I love her. Owen Wilson is one of my favorite actors.
I will say I'm a huge fan of Rosita Dawson. I have been since she was in Josie and the Pussycats. And obviously, if you don't know, Lakeith Stanfield is in the award-winning FX show Atlanta. Yeah. Love that show too. He's also phenomenal. So Danny DeVito.
Danny DeVito. That's enough said.
I was going to say, that's all you need to say. Danny DeVito. This movie, I couldn't be more pleased with it. And that trailer sold me by a landslide.
Well, I really thought they were going to... I think my problem was originally when I first heard of the Haunted Mansion remake, I was kind of like, I feel like we just did this.
Yeah.
Like, it wasn't... I know that, like, we have short-term memory in Hollywood, but, like, it wasn't that long ago.
No.
Like, I've seen the Haunted Mansion movie a million times. I love Eddie Murphy.
Yep.
And so I was like, they're just going to do this whole thing again. Like, they're going to put a family in there, and then,
This is different.
But this is so different.
I love it.
This is so different, and I love it.
Yep.
I really love it. I think this is going to be so interesting. And it feels just like the ride.
Which is important.
Which is so important. Because, like, the last movie was good with Eddie Murphy, and they put a lot into the ride. Because that's when the remodel was, a couple years after that. And they did a lot to make it all cohesive, and it was great, and I loved it, because to me, the Haunted Mansion has never been that scary, but that's just because, it's still a ride for kids, so it's not, like, terrifying. But when you actually think about it, the story behind everything they have in the Haunted Mansion is.
Yeah.
Like...
The Bride alone.
Yeah, the Bride alone is very scary, but, like, everything in there is scary. Like, they have, again, the stretch room. That room is really scary. The person hanging from the ceiling, which they do in the Haunted Mansion, the original one. They explain why that person was hanging, which made so much more sense when I watched that movie.
Yeah.
Because honestly, going on the ride and seeing that person hanging, it makes no sense to what you're doing.
Exactly.
Because they never bring it up again.
That's true.
So it's not like you're like, okay.
I always love a good backstory, especially when it makes sense. Like,
me too.
If you give me a backstory and I don't understand anything like previous to it, I was like, you wasted my time giving me this story. But I do think that we're getting a lot of good stuff from this. I think the ghosts look beautiful.
They do.
And it's creepy.
Yeah.
Actually creepy.
I'm almost hoping that this movie is before the Eddie Murphy movie. Like, it's set before.
That would be interesting.
I would think that would be very interesting, because then you could argue that movie still could have happened. And then maybe she does get trapped in the crystal ball at the end of the movie.
Never know.
You never know.
That would shock everybody.
It would.
It would shock me.
It would shock me as well.
Yeah.
Like, it would be, I think that'd be a really good way to tie everything in together. But they might just completely separate them. And I think that'd be fine too. I think you could completely separate them and still have a very good movie.
Oh yeah. Either way, I think it would please people who are familiar with the ride were not familiar with the ride, this is something new for Disney. I can't wait to see them tap into this because I honestly feel like this might be a success this summer.
Me too. I think this will be a good one this summer.
July, it's hot out. What are you going to do? Let's go watch a
Everybody
scary...
watches movies in
Yeah.
July.
Yeah, I know. I do.
Summer is a time for movies, hands down.
Hands down. There's a reason why we call it the blockbuster. Summer.
Exactly.
Come on now. But thank you for reviewing this trailer with, we didn't watch the trailer. But
well, we did watch the trailer.
We watched the trailer. But if you want to watch the trailer, it's actually on YouTube right now. So I highly recommend you checking it out. And I will see you next time.